All right, let's jump right into one of the most fundamental processes in all of biology, reproduction. I mean, every single living thing does it, from the tiniest bacterium to the biggest whale. But how they do it, and maybe more importantly, why they do it, well, that's way more fascinating than you might think. So let's start with the biggest question of all. So, why do organisms go through all the trouble? Why spend so much energy on this one thing? I mean, think about it for a second. Stuff like eating or breathing. Well, that makes sense. You need that to keep your own body going. But reproduction? An organism can live its whole life perfectly happy without ever doing it. And that's really the key. An organism doesn't reproduce for its own survival. It reproduces for the survival of its entire species, its legacy. It's a strategy for a kind of immortality, not for the individual, but for the precious information it carries. To really get our heads around this, we're going to break it down into 4 parts. First up, what is life's core mission? Then, we'll look at the 2 main game plans organisms use, the asexual playbook and the sexual strategy. And finally, we'll see how it all comes together in complex life, like plants and, yeah, us. So what is this core mission, really? At the most basic, fundamental level, reproduction is all about making a copy. But a copy of what, exactly? Well, the answer lies in the blueprint of life itself. And that blueprint is, of course, DNA. You can just think of it as the ultimate instruction manual. It holds literally all the information needed to build and run an organism. It dictates everything from your eye color to how your body breaks down a slice of pizza. So if you want to make a new organism, you've got to copy that manual first. At its heart, the process is kind of a simple 3-step dance. Step 1, just like we see here, the cell makes a perfect copy of its DNA. Step 2, it duplicates all the other essential parts, the cellular machinery. And finally, step 3, it just splits in 2, with each new cell getting a complete set of instructions and all the equipment it needs. Simple, right? Well, almost. You see, the process of copying DNA is unbelievably precise, but it's not perfect. As this quote gets at, no biochemical reaction is 100% reliable. Kind of like how a photocopier might add a tiny smudge here or there, tiny little errors, or what we call variations, can creep into the new DNA copies. And here is the absolutely mind-blowing part. These aren't just mistakes. These little variations are the secret sauce of life. They create subtle differences between parents and offspring, and over millions and millions of years, this is what allows species to adapt to a changing world. It is the engine of evolution itself. Okay, so let's move on to our first strategy and see how this copying actually plays out. We're going to start with the asexual playbook. This is where a single parent creates offspring all by itself. The simplest method by far is something called fission. As you can see with this amoeba, the organism basically just grows to a certain size and then splits right down the middle. Boom! 2 identical daughter cells. It's direct, it's efficient, and it is incredibly fast. Some multicellular organisms take it a wild step further with fragmentation. This little guy, a planaria, is amazing. If it gets cut into pieces, each individual piece has the power to regenerate into a whole new, complete organism. I mean, come on, that's a superpower. Then you've got budding, which you can see here in this hydra. A little outgrowth or a bud forms on the parent's body. It grows into a perfect miniature version of the adult and then just pops right off to start its own life. So, the asexual strategy is really all about speed and efficiency. You only need one parent, you can turn out tons of genetically identical offspring, clones basically, very, very quickly. But there is a huge catch. If everyone is identical, a single change in the environment, like a new disease or a sudden shift in climate, could wipe out the entire population. It's a massive gamble. And that vulnerability, that huge gamble, is exactly why another strategy evolved. So let's dive into the sexual strategy, which is all about generating variation to guarantee survival in the long run. This table sums up the 2 approaches perfectly. You can really see the key differences, right? Asexual reproduction, one parent, identical offspring. And the main goal is just rapid population growth. But with sexual reproduction, 2 parents, totally unique offspring. And the goal shifts from sheer numbers to long-term species survival, all thanks to its killer advantage, genetic variation. Okay, but this leads to a pretty major biological puzzle. If you just combine the full DNA blueprint from 2 parents, the offspring would have double the DNA, right? And then the next generation would have 4 times the amount, and it would just get crazy. It would be a complete mess. So how does life solve this problem? The solution is this incredibly elegant process called meiosis. Before reproduction can happen, specialized cells in the parents go through this special kind of division, and they create what we call germ cells, so sperm and eggs, that contain only half the normal amount of DNA. That way, when they combine, the offspring gets a complete correct set. It is absolutely brilliant. So, how does all of this actually work in the real world? For our final section, let's take a look at how these sexual strategies play out in the complex life we see all around us, plants and humans. In flowering plants, all the action is happening right here, inside the flower. The stamen is the male part that makes pollen, and the pistil is the female part that holds the ovules, or the eggs. Pollen travels from a stamen to a pistil, fertilization happens, and a seed is formed which contains a brand new, totally unique plant embryo. And in humans, the basic principle is exactly the same. It's just got more complex machinery. It all kicks off at puberty, as our reproductive tissues mature. Males produce sperm, females produce eggs. And when one of each of those germ cells fuse together during fertilization, they create a zygote, the very first cell of a new and unique human being. So here's the bottom line, the most crucial point. Every single time sexual reproduction happens, 2 unique genetic blueprints get shuffled together like a deck of cards. This creates a completely new combination of traits that has never existed before and will never exist again. It's the ultimate source of diversity and adaptability. Which brings us right back to our big question. After looking at everything from a simple cell splitting in 2 to the incredible complexity of sexual reproduction, what do you think? Is life's ultimate strategy just about making more copies and surviving day to day? Or is it a far grander scheme, one designed for constant change and endless adaptation in an unpredictable universe? Something to think about. Thanks for watching.